You did not become fluent fast, I'm sorry to say. Most people around the world who use English as a second language aren't really speaking it. They're using words that belong to English that you will find in an English dictionary, but they're not speaking the genuine article. Not really. So when I see teenagers make their videos on YouTube how I became fluent fast, I can guarantee that they're not even fluent in English. Not in the way we understand it as natives. I'd like to read a paragraph out of a book by linguistics professor John C. Wells in which he explains how complex it all is. The function of intonation. Native speakers of English exploit intonation patterns in many subtle ways that are not obvious at first sight. If you speak English as a second or foreign language, these uses of intonation may have no parallel in your first language. This can lead to a breakdown in communication when a native speaker is interacting with a non-native speaker. In a conversational situation, many a non-native speaker may fail to understand some or all of that part of the native speaker's message that is conveyed by intonation patterns. The native speaker, unaware both of his or her own use of intonation and of the non-native's failure to pick up on it, wrongly assumes that the message has been fully understood. Later it becomes evident that the message has not been fully understood, and neither participant in the conversation knows why. It may well be the case that English makes more elaborate use of intonation to signal meaning than do most other languages. This is a further reason why it should not be neglected by learners and teachers of English as a foreign language. This means that a native speaker of English uses intonation on a very subtle level without realizing it. They don't know they're doing it. And the foreign speaker of English doesn't know they're doing it because they don't know it exists. And so the two don't understand each other. Not really. The thing with English that the whole world overlooks is that you include a lot more of yourself and how you feel about the message, so you modulate your message in very subtle ways. And this varies, of course, between countries, but also between age groups. It really is highly complex. A lot more than YouTube would make it out to be, because a 30-year-old from Leeds in the UK might use codes of intonation on a subconscious level to convey, for example, authority. So they've internalized a number of codes. This is how I speak English as a 30-year-old from Leeds to convey authority. All this is subconscious. But a 50-year-old from Cambridge or something might completely misunderstand this intention and leave the conversation saying, well, he was a bit of a prat, wasn't he? The authority part fell through completely. And this is between native speakers. I have daily misunderstandings between my American wife and myself just because I use intonation in a different way. Americans are usually more direct, so they don't hint at things as much as we do in Britain. So you don't sort of go, oh, it's a bit chilly in here, isn't it? You say, could you jack the heat up or something? It's a lot more direct. In my YouTube comments today, I was asked what I thought of the polyglot Mikel Telleria, and I heard him speak English, and again, it's a case of where do you draw the line? He uses English words, but I don't consider that he speaks English. His syntax seems to be good, his vocabulary, his understanding of tenses, pronunciation is completely off, and his prosody is sadly nowhere. So I don't really understand him. There are major parts of English that most people leave out completely, or the whole world leaves out these major parts of English. So to me it just sounds very robotic, and languages are not designed to sound robotic. You can't just say, for example, I have important news for you. You see how it doesn't work? I have important news for you. You don't really know how I feel about this message. If I go up to you and say, I have important news for you, you don't know how I feel about the message. And French answers to different rules still. You know, the codes of intonation are much different from English. You don't use French the same way you use English. You don't include as much as your person in the message. So when I see people say, I became fluent fast, it's simply not true. It's a gross misunderstanding of their own ability, or lack thereof. Thanks for watching.